Okay, I think we're live and I think we're streaming, hopefully. So, anyways, just going over what we traded on Friday as a team. We waited on the news release to come out and kind of settle down just for a second. I'm on a 1 minute time frame. So, you see the big candle pull up, it pulled back. Once we had this bullish candle, that is where I got in on the trade, and several of our traders got in. So that was where we entered. We entered on the pullback. We had several candles go up to our zone. So our first target level was this zone right here, and that zone is off a 4-hour time frame. So that is a 4-hour time frame high. So we don't expect those to get broken. If they do, then we look to hold our runners. So what we try and do is close out part of our trade when it hits a target, and then we let a runner ride. So we closed out part of our trade when it hit there. So we closed partial, left a runner on, and then and we actually just drew a trade line along these two candles here, and that projected, of course, up. When it broke through, it's above the zone. So we actually held the runner just because it was above a 4-hour zone. Now, it pulled up, and then after that, you could see it just went sideways, made kind of a double top there in a 1 minute. I don't take a lot of, I don't, as far as candle formations and that on a 1 minute time frame, they don't hold a lot of weight with me because we are down on a 1 minute time frame. So, if that was on a anything but a 10, 3 and 10, 5 and 3 1 minute, we definitely don't look at the candle formations. Now, if we're going on a 15-minute time frame and above, we definitely look for candle formations. So, do you see them on a smaller time frame? Sure, 100%. We see candle formations on a smaller time frame. Do they hold a lot of weight as to their signal that it's going to be bearish or bullish? No, they don't, because the higher time frames, that's where you see the signals for the bigger moves. So when it tested the back side of that trend line, red candle, several green, another red candle, well, then that created a level up here. And so that's the point where you have to say to yourself, am I going to hold the runner in case it goes and stays above this zone, or am I going to bail and close that trade and possibly look for a short? So what I did was I held it till this candle here, this red candle. Are you giving back profits? Sure. I gave back some profits. I mean, I was in more profit up here on this green bullish candle than down here. So I gave back partial profit, but that's only on my runner. It's not on my whole trade. That's why you have to close part of your trade out. That's why I recommend closing partial and using that as your strategy. You have to decide for yourself, do you put 10 micros on? Are you trading micros? What are you trading? So if you put 10 micros on, how many do you close at partial? Do you close 5, 7, 8, 6? Okay, so that's something each trader has to decide for themselves, how many they're going to close out when they do close a partial. Okay, so at that point then, I closed out my short or my long and was looking to go short. So I had drawn a horizontal ray here off of this low. You can see this wick here. You can see this candle wick there, the high of this candle, the start of this one around that price point. So I said to myself, if that price point's broke, I want to look to go short. Now I'm on a 1 minute time frame, so I'm going to wait for a candle to close. And this candle was the one that closed, and so it closed bearish. It broke, this low. Bam, I got in. So that was where I got in. My target was this low over here. You'll see a horizontal ray drawn, and I do that every time. I'll look at highs and lows, look at your swings, and draw a horizontal ray, and it's a support and resistance level, but those are my targets, is basically what they are. So that was where my target was. I don't expect them to get to the target to the point. Okay? There is what's called inside tops and inside bottoms. I'm not going to go into length on that. Here's one right here, an inside bottom. Basically, it's the high point of a swing, or if it's a high, it's a low point of that swing. Okay, so That's why you'll see things not always get to the exact price. They'll turn before. So I don't expect it to get to my line. So I actually closed out right here on this candle when it was about down to that point. So when it was extended down, got kind of close to my line, boom, I closed out partial. Didn't close out the whole thing, but closed out partial. Moved my stop, and then to an acceptable loss against my gain. And this one was a really short trade. I mean, it didn't last long. And of course, I had a down trade line across these highs. Down trade line, I call them that instead of trend lines because they're only there while I'm trading. You can see this one back here, up trade line, down trade line, up trade line. We traded this several times. Well, at the end of the week, I delete those. They don't hold any weight in the market at all. You know, and again, we're down on a smaller time frame, a 3 or 1 taking these. So when it turned here right on that line, broke the down trade line, gave a green candle there. I actually got in on this one. So I got in on there. I entered when it broke. I didn't enter when it broke the down trade line. I waited for candle to close, and then it pulled up here. When I marked the chart, I marked I already closed partial because guess where I closed partial at? Boop, right up here, back to the zone. So when it went up to the zone, then I closed part of my trade. And you can get in and do that with your orders. So you can pop a trade on, pop 10 micros. Let's say you're closing 8 out. You can use a stop order to close out 8 when it gets up near the zone, so you don't have to go in and manage that yourself. And then you leave the 2 on as runners. So, because sometimes these will break and run. Now, this isn't the case of what happened, but I know you've seen several times where they break and run. So it pulled up to the zone, moved the stop to, stop was originally down here, moved the stop up, not to break even. You'll see it bounced here and went on up back through the zone. So at this bounce right here, I had a up trade line here, and we just rode that out. And then at this bounce right here, so we were actually able to move our up trade line out and get a good 2 points, you know, point A, point B, off of actual swings, not just candle like this one, where this one just shot straight down. So it rode up through the zone. At that point, we have to look, do we close some? Now, my next target was this one right here. This horizontal ray off this high here. You know, it hit the candle body here. So that was my, basically my inside top is what I'm calling that for a line. And if you look, it just went to that and just stopped. It just stopped. And then we had a couple wicks over, and then it broke this trade line. So it broke the up trade line. It's in the zone. That 4-hour zone right here, the yellow one, that's off a 4-hour time frame. So they hold a lot of weight. We end up adjusting them at the beginning of the week. So we go through on a Saturday or Sunday, readjust. So when it went, it hit the bottom and then rode back up. And then when it pulled back down to test it again, I closed out my remaining. I just closed out the remaining and was looking to get into a short if that happened. So when it broke back through the zone, then bam, we got in short on this one. And that one actually gave us quite a bit of a pullback. So we got in at the start of this candle. It pulled down. If you're closing partial, again, it depends on what you use for your target on a partial. I did not close any out because I'm using this line back here. Okay, that's off that inside top. Or inside bottom, sorry. The top of the inside bottom right there. So I didn't close any out, pulled back to past where I got in a little bit, tested the zone, and then pulled down on this big red candle. At the big red candle, that's where we were able to then draw a down trade line off of this high and then off of this high. Those are our AB points for that down trade line. And then boom, it hit my target, closed out partial, went further, went through the support and resistance level. I closed out more of the trade. I think I think on this one I ended up with like one runner on, pulled to break even. So my stop would have been pulled to where I entered over here. Sat through some retracement there, so you're losing a little bit of profits. But the reason why I'm willing to do that is because a lot of times they break and run. They keep going. if you can look back through charts, you'll see times where like a move like this just keeps going, or a move like this keeps going. Okay, so that's why we leave a runner on. We don't close the runner until our trade line's broke. So when it pulled through here and broke this down trade line, that's where I got out of that trade. Okay, a couple things it did. It broke the down trade line, 2 other candles. It basically broke this high. So we made a higher high. And then when it pulled down, this one here made a higher low. So that's a higher low than this one. So higher highs, higher lows right after a bounce. Bullish confirmation to get into a trade, take it on the green candle. That was the entry. I don't have that one marked, but that was the entry. We ended up taking 6 trades on this. So that was the entry to get in, and then guess what? Right here, close partial. That's my support resistance level. That's where I'm closing partial because it's up near that zone. Close partial, left a runner on, move stop to break even. You see a pattern here? I mean, it's just trade the same every time. So runner on, come up, formed a higher high, higher low, higher high, but guess what? It's right up near that inside top bounce from way back, the previous high before this one. So that was our target. That was our main target. Now, if it breaks through that, we already have a runner on. So if it would have broke through this, broke through that high from on back to the left of the chart, then we would have already had a runner on, okay? Runner or 2, some contracts on. So this one came back, so it broke the up trade line. That's not when we closed the trade because our trade lines are linear. Okay, well, the market doesn't move straight, okay? So for us, we know that it can break our line, trend line, trade line, and then it can keep going up the back side of it. And that's what I call kind of a channel shift. You have a move up this way, and then it shifts down below a line, but then it keeps moving in the same direction. You'll see those all over through charting. So when it broke the up trade line, we did not get in. We were looking at, is it going to continue? We already have a runner on. Let's hold it again till it breaks through this zone. If it pulls back in that zone, we know we're probably in trouble. We probably need to close out our long, but we're willing to leave it on in case it does continue on, okay? So yes, if you're willing to leave something on and willing to let it on till it signals you that, hey, the bullish move's over, let's start looking at a short trade, well then you are going to get back profits. You're going to get back some of the profits on the runner. But these runners, I look at them as bonus trades. It's not something I need to live on. The trades I need to live on are the ones where I get in and I close out partial. That's my living expense. That's what I look to make per day, per week, and per month to get a monthly paycheck. Okay, is where we close partial. The runners is all bonus. That's just extra. So I'm willing to give back some of my bonus for the moves that just can end up continuing in one direction. Okay, so yes, I know that if I waited till it pulled back in this zone and then closed, I'm giving back the profit from where it was up here down to where I close here. Am I willing to do that? Sure. You may not be willing to do that. Well, then what's going to happen is sometimes you'll close out and then it'll come down and bounce off a 4-hour zone and then keep going long, and you're looking to get back in when you were already in, which is fine. Okay, so what happened was then it kind of moved sideways and then boom, it pulled back into our zone. At that point it was 11:45 and we're done. We don't even take trades that late. So I don't like taking trades. Really, I like trading from 8 o'clock to 11 is when I like taking new trades, but sometimes I'll take one after 11, but not after 11:30. 11:30 I'm done. I'm thinking lunch. London's getting ready to close. The big boys that trade over in London, and when I say they're getting ready to close down, I'm not talking about retail traders. Retail traders don't move the market. Doesn't matter how many traders you have taking the same trade. They don't move the market. So the market makers, the actual ones that are in London from 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon their time, Those are the ones that move the market. So we have two markets overlapping. Of course, we have the London session, which is closing for the day, and we have the U.S. session, which is getting ready to break for lunch. So, and of course, now you've got bots into the mix, so it's not just the market makers themselves placing live trades. You also have placing and closing, but you also have bots now too that we're competing with. So, and a lot of the market makers are actually using bots too. So, yeah, it's a lot to mess with. So I just close out and I say I'm done. London's closing, U.S. going to lunch, I'm done, and just done for the day. Now, can we have a trade on? If this would have kept going bullish, yeah, we would have had a runner on. Can I manage that trade through the rest of the day? Sure. I'll manage the trade through the rest of the day, but I'm not looking for new entries. We had 6 on this. Okay, so do I need to get in anymore? No. Done for the day. And then of course it did play out to be a trade because it did go right back down that inside bottom. I just don't, as a rule of thumb, typically trade after that 11:30, and this candle here was 11:45. So I did close out, but it did actually give a nice pullback. You enter on red candles, you could have entered that and then took another trade. Closed partial. Let me zoom this in. It did go further, so you know you got to close partial. It broke the trend line, came up and made a high, but at this point, here's what it did. It came back and double bottomed here. So it double bottomed, so a lot of people were thinking long, but then it made a lower high than this one, which is a sign that right now it's like made a double bottom. Really, if you count this wick, it made a lower low, lower high, and then higher low. So it's kind of mixed. You know, at that point you think it's settling in, and then bam, it makes a higher high right before it drops. And that's more of what you'll hear called a liquidity sweep. It basically popped up because a lot of resting orders would have been above this high. Okay, so it popped up to close those out and then continued short for a minute. So that's what we traded on Friday. I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out my YouTube and subscribe. And there will be more videos. I will talk to you later. Thank you.